Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, it is review time for the mid-2013 MacBook Air 1.3 gigahertz dual-core i5 with a gig and a half of video. Yeah! Okay. Anyways, fantastic little laptop, guys. You really got to get yourself one. This thing is so impressive over the 2020 MacBook I bought, brand spanking new in 2020. It had a 1.1 gigahertz dual-core i3. This is a 1.3 gigahertz dual-core i5. Way faster. And even though the other one had 8 gigs by 256, same amount of video RAM, right? Of course, it did have a really nice Retina display. This one does not have Retina, but this is still 1440 by 900, and it's a beautiful display. You know, the other thing I like about this is, of course, USB-A ports. You know, I mean, I have nothing against the Type-C or Thunderbolt new style, but I do like my USB-A stuff as well. Either way, you're still limited. You only got 2 USB ports on this sucker and a display port. You also have a card reader on this thing, which is a full-size SD card reader. You can use the adapters to use your micro cards. MagSafe charging, of course. Illuminated keyboard, which you can change your levels of illumination with. Thin and light, just like any other Air would be. 720p camera, usual microphones, of course. Great for talking with, but absolutely horrifying for trying to do live music into this thing with. So I would definitely go with a USB interface or a USB mic that's good, because the built-in mics, as always on MacBooks and on iMacs, suck bad. Apple really needs to up their game on that sort of thing. I mean, come on, seriously. My PCs are no better. All their laptops and built-in all-in-one computers have sucky built-in mics too, so I guess it's kind of a lose-lose in the industry for both sides. Now, the 720p camera in this is also very nice. I like it. Does a great job. And but overall, the entire experience with this computer so far, even with having 4 gigabytes of RAM in this, I'm able to upgrade the hard drive. So I did put a 256 gig TimeTech drive in it, which is rated at 1200 read and 900 write, and it comes really close to that up to rated speed. In fact, we're going to do a speed test for you on this video. I've done it before on previous videos, but in case you missed those, let's give her. Now, I'm also downloading a 2.5 gig update as we speak that's getting installed and right into the drive, so we're going to see a little bit of performance difference, because I'm usually a lot closer to the 900 here on the write speed, but we're getting 973.8 read. We're going to jump up a little bit, I think, on the write speed, you know, 858. You know, not too shabby. And, you know, when you think about where all these check marks are lying for the testing, and this is at a 5 gig stress load. Now, this is gigabyte, not gigabit, so it's the bigger chunk, right, of a stress load. Plus, it's under stress on top of that with doing the download and install as we're speaking, too. So that's impressive little drive. It is very fast drive. You know, so that really helps, even with booting time and etc. And I am running Big Sur on this. Big Sur is supported on the 2013 Air, as well as the other 2013 MacBooks, just not supported on 2013 iMac computers. You needed a 2014 or newer iMac for Big Sur. But you know, even though this does not have the same amount of RAM as the 2020 Air that I had, 4 gigs is still doing phenomenally good with Big Sur with this thing. But I think with the compensation of having a faster i5 chip in this thing over the other Air, that's what's making a lot of difference there for the lack of RAM. Now, I have found that the sweet spot for the fan, I would recommend everybody run max fan speed control on your Mac computer. You'll have to figure out your own sweet spots. It's going to vary from one laptop to the next, one desktop to the next, etc. But the sweet spot for the 2013 here seems to be at 4,500 RPM constant speed setting for the fan. Just, you know, keep in mind too, if you're buying a used laptop, especially used, any used computer, you need to disassemble and clean out the fans. That makes a heck of a difference on fans working. Even though my 2020 was brand new, even at cranking the fan speeds up, nothing could help that thing. It would always thermal throttle, right? And it didn't take hardly anything to do it. I am not even getting this thing to 80 degrees, even playing video games on it, let alone doing anything else on it. I'm not able to break past high 70s with 4,500 RPM. So that is actually pretty impressive. So it's not thermal throttling yet. Mind you, I haven't tried to edit 4K video footage, which might actually push that closer to, you know, maybe into the 90s, you know, but we're still in a safety zone, right? I'll have to try it and see how far we get up there. But so far, even up to 1080p stuff, I'm not breaking even into the 80 degrees Celsius range. And I work on Celsius in this country. I'm Canadian, so even the prices I tell you are Canadian unless otherwise specified. So the 1440 by 900 display is fantastic on this thing, even though it's not Retina. The whole computer has been a really awesome experience so far. I didn't think I would be this happy with an Air, you know? So it's kind of like, well, where do we put this, Kev? 4.5 out of 5. That's where I'm putting it. Now, as far as price goes, I mean, the whole point of life is you pay as much as you're willing to pay, and if you get the item, fine. If not, keep shopping. Somebody will give you one for hopefully the better price. But otherwise, if the choices are limited, take what you can get, but also don't overpay. And that's the thing. I felt that $320 was a lot of money for this thing, and I still think it kind of is in a sense, only because we only have 2 years left of Intel support, and Apple's cutting off all the Intel Macs for 100% support. And that includes OS, security, the whole nine. Good bye-byes from what we've been told and been hearing all over the place. So yeah, nothing new there. And that affects value even currently, you know, so it's kind of one of those things. I could have had the exact same Air in pristine condition as well, and I base my prices on pristine, okay? It has to be pristine condition. I'm not saying it has to smell like a factory brand new computer, but it better be in really awesome condition, okay? Like no damages to it, you know. Light scratches are one thing on aluminum parts, but you know, no broken stuff, no cracked stuff, no, you know, worn out hinges, that sort of thing. I mean, we're talking something that is almost in brand new condition. That's where I base my prices. So I could have had the same one for $200. I just was too lazy to go and drive to get it because I thought, well, you know, for what I'm going to spend on gas and, you know, I'm really not sure. I think I might end up spending more. It's hard to say. But, I mean, after the trip we just did the other day, and we put 1,300 kilometers almost on the car to go pick up 4 iMacs, all vintage, of course. But, you know, we only blew $60 in fuel for that whole trip. You know, and it's kind of like, that's pretty good, so maybe I probably next time will go take that 2-hour drive. You know what I mean? We did a lot more than 2 hours. It was like 5 hours this way, 6 hours that way, and, you know, I mean, we were like on the road for virtually 24 hours, pretty much straight through, other than getting out of the car and checking the things out before we bought them. But, you know, that was a lot, and we only blew $60 in fuel, so that was pretty decent. So I think next time maybe I'll just take the drive. But otherwise, you know, I mean, it is worth $200. Realistically, this computer is definitely worth $200 all day long, and I do believe that it is worth upwards to $300. But a lot of that's going to depend on battery condition too. The battery on this one is actually at 86%, and so we're still getting, with all the security, or sorry, not security, but with all the energy saving features completely shut off. So we're not allowing sleep, we're not allowing hibernation, we're not allowing for the hard drive to spin down or any of that stuff. And we're running everything full bore. I'm still getting 7 hours of runtime out of this battery. That's flipping amazing, you know, and it's like, wow. And that's not sitting there doing nothing. That's actually playing games, doing editing, playing with GarageBand, surfing the internet, watching videos. I'm getting 7 hours out of this battery. You know, it's like, wow, that's quite good. You know, I mean, the Airs have always been notorious for having awesome battery life, you know, but that's generally based on having all those things, you know, set up for energy saving. I don't use energy saving features on any computer, whether it's a laptop or a desktop. I want my computers to run full blast all the time, you know, because I don't care about replacing a $70 battery eventually, you know. So, but anyhow, so overall, I think it's worth the money, at least upwards to a tops end of 300 bucks. So I paid $20 and taxes too much, but you know what? It's still a heck of a laptop, you know, and it is impressing me for an Air. I was very disappointed with the 2020 Intel versioned Air. I mean, it did have a 1.1 dual-core i3, which really wasn't helping it any. So, I mean, it doesn't matter how fast you run the fan in it, you're not going to, you know, stop it from thermal throttling, you know. So this thing, I haven't thermal throttled it yet. I can't even get it to break 80 Celsius, so I think we're doing really good. Now, I haven't tried 4K footage. Okay, keep that in mind. That might push it over the edge, I'm not sure. I'll have to try that eventually. But otherwise, whether I'm running DaVinci Resolve or iMovie, makes no difference. GarageBand is doing well. No fart, no hiccups. Does a fantastic job. Surfing the net's great with it. You know, the USB-A ports, you only have 2, but hey, you work around it. If you need a hub, you need a hub. You know, it just depends on what you're doing, type of thing, right? Display video out works fantastic as well. I like putting it out to the 31-inch screen and, you know, doing a lot of stuff on the bigger screen, because small screens can get a little small after a bit. But if you're sitting on the couch, you're stuck with the small screen, unless you're gonna, you know, cast it out to your TV or whatever kind of thing, right? But otherwise, I am thoroughly impressed with this MacBook Air. So yes, I would definitely recommend one. But like I said, condition does dictate price. You know, so anywhere between $200 to $300, even $200 being in pristine shape. You know, that's where I would be starting at no more than $300 in pristine. Okay, if it's less than pristine condition, then yeah, I would be bargaining price a little bit more. But you also have the other bargaining chip right now too, and that's it. In 2 years, this thing is going to be useless on the internet because your security is going to run out, because Apple is cutting off not just the OS for this in 2 years time period, you know, and you can't go beyond Big Sur natively, okay, but they're also cutting off all support for all Intel machines. And I think, well, you know, it is kind of high time for that to happen. We've had a good run with Intel. Now it's time for the M1s to take their place, because let's face it, the M1 chips are rockets. They're sweet. You know, but I'm still waiting 2 years for them to work the rest of the bugs out before I buy into any kind of an M-series chipped Mac. I'm not jumping on the bandwagon so quick this time. But anyways, so that's pretty much about what we've got for you on this one. You know, it is 4 gigs of RAM in this one. You could get it with 8 gigs. You cannot upgrade the RAM in a MacBook Air. You've never been able to, so you need to decide you want 4 gig or 8 gig to go after for that. You know, as far as the hard drives go, right up to, I believe, 2017 Mac Airs, you could still upgrade hard drives in yourself, so you don't have to pay Apple's blood money. But you're definitely not upgrading RAM. It is non-upgradable. It is soldered right on, and that's all there is to it. But otherwise, yep, you can play a lot of light-duty video games on it if you like to play some light-duty video game stuff. You might be able to get away with some mid-level stuff. You may have to turn some settings down, but you should do all right there. You know, that sort of thing. The fact that it runs Big Sur as well as it does is thoroughly impressing me, even with 4 gigs of RAM. Because even my late 2015 iMac, it had 8 gigs of RAM in it with Big Sur, and I didn't like it. And then I put 24 gigs in it, and it sprung to life and runs like a bat out of heck, and, you know, fantastic, you know. So it kind of depends. The books work a little different, how they do things and work with the OS as opposed to the desktops. So you can actually get away with a little bit lower RAM as long as you have that faster processor. You know, where I think that's where it was lacking in the 2020 Air. It was only a 1.1 gigahertz i3, which is a very sluggy processor, and trying to even work with 8 gigs of RAM with Big Sur is kind of like, forget it. And it would thermal throttle all the time, and it's just horrifying, you know, and that kind of turned me off. But I'm kind of getting a little more interested now with my experience with this one, so I'm starting to like the Air series, so I may get another Air yet. If I do, it's going to have to be a gold one. It's not an option. I don't want another silver one. You know, one's enough. I want a gold one, but definitely not a 2020 ever again. That's crazy. So $200 to $300. That's about where I say to pay for it. Again, Canadian dollars. Keep that in mind. So do as you wish for converting that to US dollars, and that's about what they're worth. And they are dropping in price, and they will drop more and more in price. And once these things become technically useless for the internet, you know, with a normally supported OS, yeah, they're going to be worth next to nothing. Because, you know, primary reason people buy a computer is not just for editing or whatever, it's for being on the internet, you know, and to run an unsupported OS on a Mac, which a lot of people are doing, I get it, it's illegal and has piracy. Piracy is illegal, therefore it's illegal. And Apple won't support those OSs, and so therefore you're running a Hackintosh on a Mac. Basically, you're Hackintoshing a Macintosh or Hackintoshing a PC into running a Mac OS. They're completely unsupported, and they're not safe or secure whatsoever for the internet. So, you know, you got to keep those things in mind. But, you know, you can think and believe as you will. I mean, I'm just the messenger here, okay? And I know about this stuff. But, you know, so it is kind of do as you will and take your own risks as you want. But this is a good buy. I think this is a really good buy. And it's a great starter machine, especially for anybody wanting to dip their feet into the Mac world. Even now, like I said, you still have almost 2 full years, you know, and if you haven't gotten into a Mac yet, try and find yourself a really pristine shaped MacBook Air as a starter, or a cheap MacBook Pro as a starter. Just make sure it can run either Catalina or Big Sur. Big Sur would be preferable because Catalina is going to be cut off completely from all the internet updates for security and stuff by summer of 2022 is what I last heard. So you have a little bit of time left there, but you have more time left if you get something that can run Big Sur. So in the case of a MacBook, you need at least a minimum of a 2013 MacBook to run Big Sur. And on an iMac desktop, you have to have a minimum of a 2014 iMac to run Big Sur. As far as the rest of the Macs go, you'll have to check Apple's website. And also check which MacBooks can and can't, too. There's so many differences, it kind of mind boggles you. So just before you buy the Mac that you're looking at, check Apple's website for the supported OS that you're after. And right now, like I said, you still have security only for Catalina, but you do have the rest of the full support for Big Sur, at least until Monterey Cheddar Cheese comes out. And then we'll be down to basically security updates not too long after that's released, that it'll end up going down to just security updates until the end of that 2-year cycle for the cutoff of all Intel stuff. Anyway, that's it. That's all. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, comments, you know where to put them down below. If you liked the video, give her a thumbs up. If you didn't, well, hey, can't make everybody happy anyways. It's the way life goes. And if you haven't subscribed and you want to, smash that sub button and the bell for notifications, and you get kept up to date on my channel. So, thanks for watching, and see ya. Bye.